couple of technical difficulties with my computer. I think we're pretty much, or I'm pretty much online again. Great. So I understand Leslie is joining us, but she's running a little late. And Meg is here, but Andrew will not be joining us. So with that, I might as well get the formalities out of the way. So if everyone else is here, that's here, I'll read off the intro. Welcome to the February 9, 2023 meeting of the Nantucket Planning Board for discussion of articles for the upcoming annual town meeting. We are conducting this meeting via Zoom webinar and remote participation pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order regarding open meeting law. Board members, please acknowledge your presence when I call your name. See Dave Iverson.
Here.
Dave, did you say here?
Can you hear me?
You're frozen.
I did. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Yes, Dave. Yeah. I see you, but you're
Oh, there we go.
you're frozen. Maybe
Can you
you're
hear me
having some
now?
internet connection.
I hear you.
We can hear you, Dave.
Okay, great. I'm here. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, now I got you back, Dave. You're moving.
Okay, good.
All right, got you. Perfect. Thank you. Nat Lowell,
Here.
Barry Rector,
Here.
Joe Topham,
Here.
and also our alternates, Carl Borchert. Not seeing Carl.
I don't expect any of the alternates to attend today.
All right, just checking. Abby D. Molina and Stephen Welch. So noting none of the alternates. As far as staff, as I just said, Andrew is not joining us. Andrew Bush, Leslie Snell, Assistant Planning Director, should be joining us a little late. Meg Trudell, Land Use Specialist.
Here.
Okay, and Catherine Ansero, Administration Specialist. Catherine, I see you're here. Could you just acknowledge if you have?
Catherine texted me and said her microphone is not working, but she is here.
All right, we're all over the board with that. Okay, great. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I had one little not addition to the agenda. I would just like to give the courtesy. There's a board member on another board that has an upcoming meeting within the hour. So I would like to just move the article listed as draft 65, article number 66, to the front after we read off the continued articles. So if that is okay, I would look for, oh, go ahead, Meg.
I was just going to mention, and I know you'll go through the continuances after this, but just in terms of order, we did have a request to continue Article 45 regarding Appleton Road and Article 46 regarding Knobsco Way,
Yes.
just to allow scheduling for a citizen to meet with us about how that may impact their property. So we're going to go ahead and continue that if that's okay with you all.
Great. I will be noting that and mentioning that, but thank you, Meg, for reminding me. So with that, I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So move, sir.
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Roll call, Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. All right, now I'll just read off. We have articles that have been we've been given a request to continue, and that is article number 40. That is the time sharing and time interval ownership. That's asked to continue to March 9th. Draft Article 61 listed as Article 62. That's the pre-existing non-conforming uses, structures, and lots. That's continued to March 9th. Draft Article 62, Article 63, that is the pre-existing non-conforming uses, structures, and lots. That is continued to March 9th. Then we have draft Articles 47, Article 48, that is the zoning map amendment RC2 to R20 and LUG 2, 95, 91 and 95 Mycomet Ave. That has been continued to March 9th. Draft Article 44, Article 45, map zoning amendment RC2 to R5 and or CTEC Appleton Road. That's continued to March 9th. And then finally, draft Article 45, Article 46, zoning map amendment RC2, RC5, R2, R5, and or CTEC Knobsco Way. That is continued to March 9th. I think I have the continued articles. So I guess I would entertain a motion for those to continue to March 9th.
So move, sir.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Barry to continue March 9th. The article is written and seconded by Joe. Roll call, Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Now, as discussed, we would like to discuss draft Article 65, Article 66, that is the zoning map amendment for 105 and 107 Old South Road, Miller Lane, portion of 17 Airport Road and Old South Road, Little Isle Lane. And with that, Meg?
Sure. I brought Linda Williams over, who is the proponent of this citizen article. I know it was included in the staff memo, but just to make you all aware that staff did meet with the proponent and affected property owners, and we discussed some limitations to the uses in the CN district, which are outlined in that memo. Additionally, we all agreed that 3 Miller Lane would be removed from this request. But Linda is here should you have any questions about the arrangement that we reached.
I think Megan said it well. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Mhm.
thanks, Linda.
Okay. I think Megan said it well. We did meet with the three property owners, the 3 granddaughters, great granddaughters, and they're all in agreement. I mean, things were taken out like crematorium, other, big Stop and Shop, other things like that. And we spent a good hour in there with them, and Andrew, myself, Megan, and the 3 girls. And I believe they're here if anybody has any questions for them. But they live in the neighborhood. They want to do something nice. They want to keep it, low key commercial, along with, maybe an apartment on the 2nd floor, that kind of thing, basically local commercial type uses. And they're very happy with the list that they came up with. So I ask that you give it a positive recommendation.
Thank you, Linda. It doesn't look like, just for the general audience, if they're not purview to the list that we have, I'll just quickly read off the compromise from the limited uses that we're restricting. And if that's okay, I'll quickly do that. Okay, thank you. That's much easier, Meg. I appreciate that. They can take a look at what staff has been working on to remove from this.
They're also in the aquifer, Mr. Chairman. They're also in the aquifer. So a lot of the uses that are permitted are not permitted because they're in the aquifer. So
Right.
these are the additional, like the vehicle repair, things like that.
Petroleum
Kennels
product
in the
storage.
past, kennels in the past have been proven to be very noxious
Mhm.
to neighborhoods because I dealt with one off of Fairgrounds, and that's why kennel was included, and marijuana establishments, laundromat, all taverns, bars, that kind of thing.
Okay, and I will note this is for the annual town meeting will require a 50% quantum of vote. Okay.
And just one more thing, just so I can clarify for the public and the board members in case you have questions. The article proponent will be responsible for drafting a legal document to provide planning staff and town council that will be held in escrow until town meeting. So if the article is adopted at town meeting, that town council will put that on record, and it will go with the properties. If for some reason the article is not adopted at town meeting, town council will return the document to the article proponent. So that is just how that process works.
Great, thank you. Board members, any questions, comments before I open it up to the public? Seeing none, Meg, if there's anybody from the audience and the public that would like to comment or speak, please let me know. I see a hand raised, Meg, Ann Duez.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was on off mute. Yes, Ann Duez.
Okay. Hi, Ann. Welcome.
Hi, John. Thank you very much. I just have a quick question. I'm not sure where on Old South Road these properties are and whether or not they're contiguous to other commercial properties. So I'm trying to understand the context a little bit better, please.
Do you want me
Okay.
to answer that, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I also was going to see if Meg could possibly pull up a map to make it easier.
All right, in short, for Mr. Wees, it's the whole eastern side is next to CTEC. It's very explicit in the response, and it's across the street from CN, CTEC, RC2. I think there's a different one over there. Yeah, there we go.
So it borders CTEC here, CN here. As a part of this, I think this, I have to check with Nathan. This may, our GIS coordinator, this may not be included. It may just be a technical glitch, this strip here. But this is the parcel that is being removed as a part of the recommendation over here. So this would go to CN,
Right.
which is contiguous to CN here, and the commercial uses over here, as well as CN across the street and CTEC.
And RC2 is still over there for the moment. Yeah.
And just for if anybody had an idea or a question about that, one parcel on Millers, 3 Millers that we're looking to remove, I'm familiar with it, and that is actually residential. It already has a single family home and a secondary, so that would be obviously removed from that commercial aspect.
Well, actually, there's a covenant lot over there, and I moved two other structures onto the other lot, so they're maxed at the moment.
Okay. And does that answer your question? Were you able to see the map okay?
Sorry, let me bring her back over.
Sorry, it
Sorry.
does. Thank you so much. I appreciate the context, but I'd like to make a request of Ms. Williams to correctly pronounce my name. She's been told how to do it, and I don't appreciate her disrespect. Thank you.
I'm
ingrained.
sorry about that, Ann. It is Duez, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other hands raised from the audience?
Emily Molden.
Okay, welcome, Emily. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doing well, thanks. Just a question, and I apologize, I joined a little bit late, so I might have missed this, but I was just wondering what the reasoning was behind CN rather than CTEC in this area?
That was an agreement settled on with Andrew over several months of discussion since last year's town meeting, that C-Tech has uses that may not be compatible to a commercial neighborhood as opposed to a commercial tech, more of an industrial feel like it is on the corner. That's why we sort of transitioned between that and the R10s. What's going to be R10?
Okay, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Emily. Meg, any other hands raised?
There are not.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So,
Barry?
you just took me where I wanted to be. Yeah, so moved to close the public hearing, sir.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, motion's been made by Barry, seconded by Nat to close. Roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Okay, now into the merits.
I'll make a motion at this point that we send this to town meeting with positive recommendation.
To adopt, okay,
Motion to adopt.
and with the restrictions.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank-
And with the quantum of vote. It needs to be
Yes, thank you.
50%, which I mentioned in the beginning, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Barry, seconded by Nat. Roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I'm off. I had ZBA for 4 hours. Now I had this. Now I'm going to Concom.
Great. Thank you for your service, Linda. Good luck.
Shoot me now.
All right, moving on. Now we are at draft Article 51, Article 52. This is the zoning map amendment for the and county overlay district change 69 Hummock Pond Road. This is going to be tied into the next one, so I will let Meg introduce and explain.
Sure. So the key difference between these two articles is that the planning board sponsored article includes the change in the overlay district, which is an important component of this. So that is why you will see in your staff memo a recommendation. So we're going to have to vote on these things separately, but that is why in the staff memo, you will see a motion not to adopt to Article 69 because it's duplicative in nature and it does not include that overlay district change. So just to let you know I emailed you all earlier today. I'm not sure if everyone had a chance to read that email, but there has been an update to the staff recommendation to, in fact, not change the zoning to R20, but to change it to R40 instead. I think this helps address some of the board's concerns for possible buildability. It addresses some of the land council's concerns. They hold the conservation restriction for this property, so it eliminates any subdivision potential or any it provides clarification so that will not happen. It's also a solution that the property owner is satisfied with, and it's something that staff would be supportive of, moving that to R40 instead of R20. The change I've confirmed with Andrew can be handled through a motion because R40 is more restrictive than R20, so that therefore allows it to be within the scope of the article. And then of course we'd keep the overlay district change from county to town. So I think that about sums it up.
Okay, thank you, Meg. Dave, I see your hand raised.
Through you, John, if I could, to Meg. Meg, do you know what that increases the buildable square foot to from what it was?
Right now it's lug 2, so that is 4%.
It was like from 1,200 maybe to
4 times, it's roughly 40,000. So they have roughly 1,600 square feet now. This will increase it to roughly 4,000 square feet for an R40 zoning change. The R20 zoning change would have brought that to 5,000 square feet. But I do have David Buckley here, who is the
I was just
citizen
curious.
portion. Okay.
Thank you, Megan.
Yep.
Thank you, Dave. Any other board members before I open it up? I do see David Buckley, being that he's representing, I will allow, welcome David. Go ahead, David.
Thank you, and thank you, Meg, for the very concise introduction. I think you said it perfectly. Originally, the homeowner here was pursuing the R20, which would have allowed a 5,000-foot ground cover, which was the ground cover allowed when the conservation restriction was originally put on the property. But after hearing from a number of parties and listening to their concerns about the build out of the property, we thought R40 was a nice compromise, which would take the 5,000 down to 4,000 and avoid any doubt on subdivision potential.
Thank you, David. Meg, I know Emily just spoke. Is she here? I know you
Yeah.
mentioned the land council and
Mhm.
cooperation and talks with them. Emily, if you're there, I'll recognize you. Just maybe you were going to already comment anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't necessarily have a lot to add here. We're definitely more comfortable with the change to a 40,000 square foot zoning because after some further evaluation with our council, we don't necessarily believe that the conservation restriction would have prevented potential subdivision on the remainder of the lot. So we were concerned about the proposed change going back to R20. And this seemed like a simple way to prevent that subdivision potential from persisting into the future.
Right. Thank you very much, Emily. Okay. David, is your hand still raised to comment, or is that just still up, David Buckley?
Oh,
Oh, he's gone. Okay. Hands down. All right. Seeing no other hands raised, I'll open it up to the general public.
I'm not seeing anyone. Just, I
Okay.
see Barry with his hand raised.
Well, I'm going to recognize Barry.
Well, thank you. Seeing no one from the public as well, Mr. Chairman, let's break this down into its components. So draft Article 68, now Article 69. I'm going to make a motion at this point that we not adopt it for town meeting. The quorum of vote would be, of course, 2/3 if it does go forward.
So we're going to jump ahead because we're.
But yeah, that's okay. So I want to basically want to close this one first. Okay, so let me close Article 69, draft 68 first.
So we have to open and close the public
Yeah.
hearing on that first.
That's what I'm sorry. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
what I want to do is close that public hearing specifically.
Okay, so we're actually discussing, Barry, the I know they're very, very similar. Draft 51, Article 52, that's right before that. So that's the one that we've been discussing. I know it's
Okay.
directly connected to that.
I thought you had opened both of these simultaneously.
No, I just mentioned that it was going to be
Okay.
with that, but we have to do them separately.
No, and that's where I was going to too.
Okay.
All right, so then let me change the whole tack to this. Is I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing on Article 52, draft 51.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion made to close by Barry, seconded by Dave. Roll call, Barry.
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Nat,
aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. And Barry, would you like to make a motion on 52?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. So on that same article at this point, I'm going to make a motion for that to be adopted with a quantum of a vote of 2/3, with the understanding that the zoning changes to R40 in this particular instance, and
Great.
any other additional verbiage from staff.
Perfect. Thank you, Barry. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Barry, seconded by Joe. I'll roll call Barry,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Now, we will have to open and in Article 69, which is obviously tied into this, but because we adopted the 52, this really becomes almost a moot point. So
Mhm.
we will open this, and first, is there any board member with discussion or questions? Seeing none, I'll open it up to the general public. And I'll ask Meg to let me know.
Seeing none.
Okay, now I would entertain a motion to close Article 69. Is there a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, I think Nat made the motion and Joe seconded. And that's how I'll go with it. Motion closed made by Nat, seconded by Joe. Roll call, Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay, now on to the merits. I believe we're in the order based on our previous vote. We're looking to recommend a motion not to adopt with a quantum vote of 2/3. If that is in what the board is in agreement with, I would entertain a motion.
So move, sir, as you just stated.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? Motion's been made by Barry, seconded by Dave. Roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right, great, thank you very much. Moving on, we're looking at zoning bylaw amendment, swimming pools residential, Article 55.
So I am not seeing this article sponsor in the audience. She did send me an email that I included in the packet for you all to review. Staff's recommendation at this point would be not to adopt. The districts that are being proposed in this article are within the town overlay district where lots are widespread. The requirements of this article mirror what's going on in the VN zoning district, but that is in the country overlay district. So as written, we just felt that this is trying to solve a problem that hasn't yet been identified. And Campbell's not here to respond to that.
Okay, thank you, Meg. Before we open it up, board members, any questions, comments? I see Leslie's here. Welcome, Leslie. Okay, seeing none of the hands raised. Oh, welcome. I will open it up to the general public. Meg, if you have anyone with a hand raised, please let me know.
Seeing none.
Okay, seeing none, Barry?
So not seeing anything at this point unless there's any further board comment through you. No, then I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion been made by Barry, seconded by Dave. Roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
chair votes aye. And now onto the motion
I'll make a motion at this point we not adopt, sir.
with a quantum vote of 2/3.
That is correct.
Okay, motion's been made by Barry. Is there a second?
A second.
Noted that Joe made the second. Roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Okay, thank you. Moving on, we did Article 66 earlier. Now we are on to zoning bylaw amendment, swimming pools, residential, Article 39. And I will ask board members questions, comments before we open it up. Barry, is your hand raised from the?
Oh, sorry.
previous-
Let me drop
That's
that.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you, though.
Seeing none of the board members raised a hand, I will open it up to the general public. Meg, let me know if there's anybody in the audience that'd like to be heard.
Yep, we have Hillary Hedges report followed by Ann Duez.
Okay. Hillary, welcome.
Hi, good evening or good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for unmuting me. So I actually would love to have more information about the definitional change that's being proposed here. I mean, obviously we need definitions when we're defining something for a use, but the thing that has just been confusing to me is what use we're defining this for. Maybe I don't completely understand it. But I'm just a little wary about complicating definitions in the zoning code, especially with the history on pools. I helped Anne a lot with her article that passed last year. And what I saw when I did the research was that we used to have a very simple definition of pools. It was just based on the use being recreational and the gallonage. And then after pools were made restricted in the residential old historic area, we got this new definition of hot tub, and then we got these dimensional requirements that caused a lot of confusion. And I think, really complicated things because of inconsistency. It was just became complex. And I just see now that we have yet another interdiction on now spas. We're seeing additional complication, and I'm just not sure why. And I just wanted to I don't know if people got to see my letter, but Judy Barrett is somebody who the town has continued to retain as a consultant. And I think she's considered one of Massachusetts' best zoning and planning consultants. And she worked on the housing production plan. And the housing production plan, which was just completed a couple of years ago, says Nantucket's zoning districts are currently numerous and complex. Some areas, such as portions of the downtown waterfront, are zoned block by block, and there are many individual lots zoned differently than what is around them. The overall organization of Nantucket's zoning bylaw could also be improved with many regulations buried in the definitions section. These issues exist in many towns, but they seem especially obvious in Nantucket. And that's from page 41 of the Nantucket Housing Production Plan. So I'm not saying that this is a regulation. Obviously, this isn't. It's purely a definition. It's in the right place. But I just hope that that the board or the staff could explain why the definitions are necessary, because when things get more complicated than they need to be, it just creates work. It creates opportunities for mistakes, and it just creates the need for the general public to hire more experts to advise them when they should be able to understand this on their own. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Hillary. I think I'll let Anne speak before we go into any discussion or answer anything. She might have the same questions. So welcome
Hi,
back.
thank you very much. I echo Hillary's relatively generalized query about the fundamental basis for this. I asked about that last time and was slapped down basically and told that there wasn't going to be an answer. I've asked a very specific question this time, which is part of the broader question, which is the need for the new category of small swimming pool. In what circumstances, what context is it an interesting option, desirable, needed, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you've read the letter that I've written, I have two other concerns. One is, aside from a general understanding of what this is all about. And can I just point out, I'm going to digress for a second. When citizens bring warrant article proposals to the planning board, you grill the petitioners, to the proposers, you ask for data, and you opine on them. When you bring warrant articles, it seems to me the shoe is on the other foot. We ask the questions. We would like to be edified, illuminated, and better understand what is being proposed. So I think that's perfectly fair. The other thing I want to discuss is my request for a depth limitation, and I've provided quite a lot of data as to why it's appropriate. And the third one that I would like to discuss, and I think Leslie Forbes may be on as well, and she has the same concern, is that we're going back into a situation where we have contradictory or inconsistent definitions in the zoning code related to commercial swimming pools and residential swimming pools. We've already had litigation about these kind of contradictions. Don't think we want to go there again. So I would like a complete and full explanation about why you are not changing or suggesting to change the swimming pool commercial definition.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ann. Well, I'll just comment first. While I appreciate Ann, Hillary, looking for our reasoning or my particular reasoning to comment, I think it really kind of simplifies it. In the last couple of years, we've had a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but there has been. We've changed, we've had annual town meeting votes that effectively eliminated the downtown water feature, whether it be pool, spa, etc. And I thought that kind of cleared up that particular area. So I think this article, in summary, just helps clarify for the building commissioner. I think when we're looking at changing, adding, adopting new things, then what we're actually doing is complicating even more and adding things about depth, where I think in the past we've had examples where square footage, cubic, cubic feet, different manufacturers, we can go on and on. And the clarification has been to pretty much eliminate, so it almost becomes non-existent. Now, what you're looking to do is add depth limitation, and then ultimately you're changing the definition, and that might affect other different zoning things. There is litigation going on right now. Obviously, Ms. Duez, you're familiar with that because that is something that was I believe you're named in. So I think what we're trying to do is just really simplifying it, making it easier for the building commissioner, and look at what's presently out there, and while we still have other things going on in litigation, and making it easier. So it just sounds like the more we add, the more we change, it complicates what's already out there, including the things that we're litigating right now. So I know that might not be the complete detailed answer that you're looking for, but that's mine. I think as it is, what we're looking to do is clarify with the simplest of definitions.
John, Leslie's got her hand up.
Yeah, I noticed, Leslie. I don't know if you wanted to say something, but go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah.
I just want to respond to Ms. Louise's comments about being slapped down at the last meeting. I wasn't there, and Andrew's not here tonight, but it's my understanding that, she did receive a response, but, the information wasn't provided in advance to maybe receive the level of detail that she was wishing for.
And I'll just let you know, if it was mispronounced, it is Duez.
Wow. Oh.
Nat, is your hand up?
Yeah,
or
no, my hand's not up. My hand's not up, but my conscience is up. So, Leslie, just be prepared to sort of answer if I say something I'm not 100% accurate, because we're in the full 100% accurate department here at the moment. So how did all this start? Well, how all this started with the article that passed by one vote to ban all water features in the ROH was partially due to the confusion of what a small pool or spa or whatever that we want to call it is. And since that was in the zoning code, what year did that get done, Leslie? That was a few years ago, okay? That got sort of cleaned up, but, you know, did have its element of confusion to what we considered to be, because there's a lot of these little, you know, 8 by 10, 7 by 11, small stuff. And that's one of the reasons that this, you know, you know, the ban of them got traction, because it was confusing for what, you know, to what a spa is. And there's a lot of different size spas. And then came a lot of these plunge pools, which that term gets thrown out there like, oh, it's a plunge pool. Well, what's a plunge pool? That's just a name that the market uses. Now we have pre-made pools of all sizes, and they're going to be more and more common, more and more popular, and because they're cheaper, but they're a fixed size. Certain ones are certain sizes, etc., and they have different names. So then we had John and I are the ones that actually started this, trying to compromise. How many years ago, John? 3 now with that, with the
Yeah.
7,500 thing. Yeah,
Fritz was on the board back then.
Fritz
Yes.
was on the board. We tried to give some leverage to, or I don't know if that's the word, accommodation to the pool issue. Okay, so we decided that if there's a lot in R1 that is under 7,500 square feet, they cannot build a regular pool, whatever that is. Okay, it could have been a plunge pool, it could have been a slightly bigger pool. However, at the time when we did that, we put that article together, we were under the assumption that the lots under 7,500 would be reverted to this no larger than 10 by 15. How am I doing, Leslie? Am I correct so far?
I think
Pretty
so.
close?
Yeah, I feel like we're veering away from maybe where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
Well, I'm veering away, but I'm really not, because this issue has gotten so confusing because of the litigation. I mean, excuse me, because of the article that was passed at town meeting, that we have to, in my opinion, we need to fix the size issue and get it cleaned up for what's allowed.
Yeah. Nat, hold that thought for 1 minute. I see
Okay.
Barry looking maybe to add or make a correction.
Yeah, board members, I have to remind you at this point that the subject of the matter here too is also within litigation at this point.
Mhm.
So I would urge you to be, I'd urge you to be focused to precise facts at this point. Conjecture, speculation, especially exercised over a period of time, I don't think are prudent remarks at this particular juncture of time. So I would just urge you to stay straight within the facts of what we have available at this point.
All right.
So,
Okay, so
and I'm just saying,
yeah, I
know,
understand why you're saying that.
right.
I
and
think,
I think
I appreciate that, Barry. And yes, Nat, I think for what your intent is
Yes.
to try and explain to the general public that has not been familiar with this. However, I agree, we're kind of getting off topic a little bit and going and stretching the whole history after the 3 years. We don't want to do that. The article that's being proposed, I've given a simple summary that we're trying to help summarize and make it easier and clarify for the building commissioner. I'm comfortable with that, and with the present litigation that we have going on, this will be going before the annual town meeting. So if there's some discussion, clarification, or amendments to be had, we can do it on the town floor at annual town meeting. But right now, I think I've made it fairly simple and easy. That's the summary. Leslie, your hand's raised.
Okay, I'd just like to add a couple of things, some questions that have come up about the article. As you said already, it's to clarify what is currently allowed and not allowed, and to add, more specificity. It's not to complicate it. And there's nothing in this article that changes the current provisions of the bylaw as far as what's allowed by right, what's allowed by special permit, or what's prohibited. Like, none of that has changed. The content of the article is consistent with prior votes of town meeting last year. It's consistent with an article that was actually pulled last year, and it's consistent with, things that have been voted in the village residential area, the smaller lots, the 7,500 square feet or less. All of that is in here. This is simply to make the, interpretation easier.
Thank you. You said it
I
better.
guess that's what I should have said that, Leslie.
Yeah. We did the Cliff Note. You had a little more extensive thought.
Right, without Cliff Notes, I wouldn't have graduated, so.
Okay. So Meg, is there anyone in the audience or general public with their hands raised?
Both Hillary and Ann.
Okay. Hillary?
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks. And Mr. Roll, I appreciate that additional background. So I think the definition was really simple. Less than 1,000 gallons was a spa. If you want to call that a small pool, fine. More than 1,000 gallons was a pool. And pools could be where pools were, and spas could be where pools are. So the definition is like a distinction without a difference. And if you're in a zone where you can't have a pool, but you can have a spa, even if you want to call it a small pool, currently the code says it's less than 1,000 gallons. And I just think that this seems to be a way to try to like Svengali people into having bigger pools. And I think Nantucket voters are really smart, and I think they're going to understand that. So I don't know. I think it's more complicated, and I think the explanation that I was hoping to get was not a simple explanation based on, a need. So I don't know. I think you guys are going to have a tough time with it, but it's also pretty clear to me that your minds are made up. You want to do this. So thanks.
Well, thank you, Hillary. And I echo your sentiments. I think the citizens are very educated and smart, and I think they're going to speak at annual town meeting and let their feelings be known. So, and I'm happy with that, whatever turns out. I'm willing to abide by whatever anyone says. So with that, Anne?
Yes, thank you. So am I going to get an answer to my question about what this whole small pool thing is all about? This is something new. We haven't had a concept of a small pool before. So we've had a concept of a pool, which is, and a concept of a hot tub spa, which is small and typically is no more than 42 inches deep. If you look at the 15 models, which I quoted in the paper that I sent you, yes, dimensions in terms of surface area are all over the map, but depths are not. Depths are well under my proposal of 3.5 feet. But I still really am clueless as to what this small swimming pool is all about. What are you aiming to achieve with the small swimming pool? And I think you have not at all just addressed the question of the commercial definition yet.
Go ahead, Leslie.
You're muted, Leslie.
I think I did answer her question about why it's drafted the way it is, but I will respond to the commercial question. We didn't think that needed to be included, so it's not included, and it's outside of the scope, so that can't be added at this point.
Mhm.
Other board members? See any?
Good.
Further comment and
I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one more thing, John. You know, I just can't listen to all this. When they talk, when the opponents of this are saying a tiny spa with so many whatever gallons versus just any pool is a pool. Like, think about what that sounds like. It's a puddle or anything. Like, we need to fix that. Whether or not there was any article last year or not, this is something that we would probably be looking at simply because of landscaping. The designs are changing. People come up with, you know, unique ways to tuck in these little tiny pools, like the one up at 21.5 Hussey Street that I saw recently that is really small, but you can stick your feet in it and be up to your waist. That would probably be considered illegal now, well, it is now with the article, but what I'm saying is those type of things need to be fixed. Interpretations, the industry with the pre-made ones. I mean, we need to fix it. We need to make it easier for people to understand what a small or large or what these things are. I mean, we've done it with everything else. Dormers, you know, square footage of sheds, there's a zillion things. Why can't we do it with pools? That's how I see it. So, I mean, I don't think it's fair for us to be put on these gotcha questions that really, they already know the answers to their own questions. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and listen to this without saying something. Thank you.
Dave?
You know, I just don't, you know, it may be obvious to us on the board, but, you know, we're being questioned by people who are in active litigation against pools in general and the town. And I think that it puts us in an awkward situation for anyone to stand up and say, you guys aren't giving us the full picture. Well, we are giving you the full picture, but you have to remember, we also don't want to support your argument in court in any way. I think that, you know, we need to mind what we say, and it's an unfortunate situation. I would rather be able to just have an hour-long discussion about this, but I think that it's unwise for us as a board to engage in that at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Meg, is there any other hand raised in the audience?
Anne has her hand up and Leslie Forbes.
Okay. Anne, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just for the record, the planning board is rejecting any consideration of a depth limit that is well outside the depth of virtually all of the commercial hot tubs on the market. So is that what you're saying? You're rejecting that?
I don't think anybody actually said they're rejecting anything, and I think it's really almost, I think the reasoning was given. We were very simple in the fact that we said that we're trying to clarify for the building commissioner. We are under current litigation, so I don't feel as if any of the board members feels as if they need to be baited into a comment and discussion when we're not at liberty to do that.
Want me to bring Leslie Forbes over?
Yes. Hi, Leslie. Welcome.
I am unmuted. First, let me make it clear, I am not in any sort of litigation with the town or the planning board. I have some specific questions. Leslie and I worked quite closely on the VR special permit several years ago. Leslie, or through the chair, sorry. I think you said that there's nothing in the Article 39 that is not already in the current bylaws or something to that effect. So do hot tubs, is the current definition for hot tub spas already have a gallonage limit? And if so, it's not included in Article 39, right? Or was that something that was lost in translation somewhere?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
The current definition, which is printed in Article 39 and shown in strike through, does not have a gallonage for hot tub or spa.
Okay, thank you. My next question, I don't need that, Megan, you can put it back down. My next question is a small swimming pool, as I have read in Article 39, the new part, the addition part, says that the small swimming pool can have benches and jets and be heated. And it can be up to 150 square feet. And that sounds to me like that sounds to me like a spa. A hot tub / spa. Does that make sense?
The small swimming pool has options available for design.
Including benches, jets, and heat.
It could, that's in the article.
It doesn't have to. Got it. But I just want to make it, I wanted to make sure my thinking was clear that it's certainly an option for a small swimming pool could be a hot tub / spa that is up to 150 square feet in the zones where it's allowed. Right? Okay. Is that correct? Am I on target with this? We're all right. It's complicated. And then the third thing, which is more of a comment, is that I was astounded that swimming pool residential was being changed to a residential outdoor recreational water feature. And swimming pool commercial was not. So despite the fact that before this change was proposed, the first paragraphs of both those definitions were identical word for word. And I think I've heard a lot tonight about trying to make things simple. And I think it was an oversight, and that swimming pool commercial should be changed as well. So we don't have, well, if it's a commercial thing, it's a pool, but if it's at a home, it's an outdoor residential water feature. That's way beyond the understanding of most readers of zoning bylaws. So put it on the docket for the special town meeting in October.
It may well get to that. In November, I believe.
Okay.
But here we are. It's being looked at now for this annual upcoming town meeting. Meg, anyone else? Questions, comments?
Hillary?
Yes, Hillary.
I Thanks, everyone. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify also, just because there are lots of people who listen to these meetings, I am not in any litigation with the town over any matter at all. So, statements about people, I don't, that doesn't include me, which I think you all know. I'm really just promoting a simple zoning code that people can understand, that's consistent. And I do think with all of the issues about groundwater and pool water and management of the pool water, the gallonage is an important concept. And although it wasn't included in the spa definition that is currently, it's not included in the spa definition, as Leslie inquired and she was accurately told that it's not included in the spa definition, it is included in the pool definition. So it is, that which is not a pool is something else, whether it be called a spa or a small pool. It's less, the 1,000-gallon mark meant something, and that's just going away. And I do think we as a community are losing some bit of regulation there that was beneficial given the difficulty of managing the water and the chemicals. So thank you.
Thank you. Barry? Oh, you're muted, Barry.
Maybe I'm a little confused by Mrs. Report where she said she's not in active litigation at this point, but she did say earlier that she was actively collaborating with Leslie Forbes and Wes on this particular thing. So it just caught my attention. That's all. Thank you. And I think at some point I may want to go back and address the Judy Barrett situation. Which I find fascinating, but I'm not prepared to deal with that right at this moment. Thank you.
There's silence.
Make a
Obviously,
motion to
this is a
close.
very confusing
I'll second that.
article. Gosh, I think we can dedicate an entire meeting to just discussions about pools and spas and things like that. And at the end of the meeting, we probably couldn't all agree on the outcome or the definition or the what's allowed, what isn't allowed, and what gallonage and square footage. So I'm comfortable with leaving it as it is and bringing it up for another day at annual town meeting when we have 900 people to discuss. And that's really all I want to say. I don't need to go into a back and forth. I think the town has presented their position. The board, for one, I think I've stated my position for various reasons, and I'm comfortable to leave it at that.
Mr. Chairman, wasn't there a motion made and seconded to close the hearing?
Not yet.
No.
Oh,
No, there was Dave Iverson.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry. I didn't hear that either.
Oh, I heard Joe's
right in
second.
there.
I thought he was talking about when I said it was complicated, and Joe said second. I don't know. Previous to that, Dave was.
Well,
making
I'll
the
second that
motion.
as well, but I was seconding Mr. Iverson's comment. So
So,
There was silence.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, you've had 3 hands raised out there of the same 3 individuals that we've heard from before.
So
But that
I
was-
will, Meg, I'll give each of the people that have commented, Hillary, Ann, and Leslie, if they are the 3, one last couple minutes to see if there's anything new. Just so I don't close the public meeting without having, or close the public hearing without having them to speak.
but Mr. Chair, I think you need to ask Dave if he will hold his motion.
Yes, I don't know if
I will hold,
actually-
I will hold my motion,
Thank
And
you,
I will
Dave.
hold my
Mr.
second.
Chair, yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Meg, and I will listen to Ann first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of clarification to Barry's comment about collaboration. What Hillary was referring to quite explicitly was helping me last year with Article 54 and getting that known out in the public, speaking on behalf of it at public meeting, et cetera, et cetera. Leslie did the same thing. Has nothing to do with the litigation that is currently pending. And I
Thank you for the
am
clarification.
somewhat flummoxed by that as an excuse for not answering questions, but there you go. So be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. And just for the record, Barry did thank for the clarification. Thanks, give thanks for the clarification.
Mhm.
All right, Hillary?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I was just going to clarify that I know I am not involved in any litigation with the town, and my assistance with this article was in doing research about the history and in conducting a public survey, which was a benefit to the public and was conducted at the request of the planning board at no cost to the planning board and provided valuable information. So, I would hope that the planning board would appreciate citizen input, especially rigorous, thoughtful citizen input to town meeting, which is the legislation. Thanks for the clarification, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Leslie? Leslie Forbes.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne, through the chair, for qualifying my role. I happen to be a citizen who follows town government. I do talk to people. I talk to people other than Ann Duez. I talk to people in a lot of places, and yes, in some sense that's collaboration, but it seems a stretch to go further than that. The second thing is that the Nantucket Conservation Association, which is the homeowners group for Nantucket, had its board meeting yesterday and reviewed many of the articles coming up on ATM and has sent 2 letters from our president, Bill Greeter. One on lighting, outdoor lighting, and one on pools. And it arrived late, so I don't blame you if you haven't been able to read it yet. But in that letter, it says, as I recall, that thank you for keeping the VN special permit in there, that's something that we worked on and made happen. And it has allowed for citizen comment, neighborhood comment to speak to the issue and ask for some additional conditions as needed. Leslie had guided us well through that, so we are pleased that that VN special permit remained as is and remained with the ZBA and did not move over to planning board. As far as pools in general are concerned, you will see in that letter, if you get a chance to read it, that this is all based on a survey that we did in May last year, and that over the 65% or so of the respondents we sent it out to about 600 people, we had about a 28% response, and over about 65% of the people answered the 2 questions on pools, one of which says those people don't feel that pools are particularly in keeping with the Nantucket style and the Nantucket rural feel. And then second of all, that the respondents felt that additional regulations should be made by the town that took neighborhood concerns into greater context. So we follow these things. We make comments where we can, and we have worked in the past to bring things to the floor. So thank you. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Meg, is there anyone new in the audience that has their hands raised?
There is not.
Okay, I'll go to Dave if you would like to make that motion to close again.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made to close by Dave, seconded by Joe. Roll call, Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Barry,
You didn't call for discussion, but I'm going to say no at the moment, and we'll get to that.
okay, Nat,
Aye.
I'm gonna vote aye. I think there's plenty of time for discussion. So, okay, now on to the merits.
Just Mr. Chairman, just so allow me, if
Go
you would,
ahead, Larry, Barry.
a little point of privilege for the moment. The Nantucket thing regarding pools, that may have occurred during my stay off the board there for a bit. So I really haven't had a chance to review it. And neither do I remember seeing the one that
Actually, Barry, if I may, just for a little brief history, the Nantucket, a group had come in when you were on the board with myself. That was
I don't
at the
remember
time
it.
when we elected Linda Williams, who was on the board as
Okay.
chair. And they had come into the upstairs meeting and discussed in detail about the VR and Nantucket and the pools and setbacks, et cetera.
Okay, so time's not on my side. I'm willing to concede that there's a lot that goes on. But when people re-raise these issues, or for example, with Mrs. Rayport, raising also the issue that she did a survey. I appreciate surveys, they're great, but I also appreciate the ability to be able to look at them as well too, or revisit them and understand the context of the questions that are being asked and where those questions are being posited to, because it has a lot to do with the quality of information that comes back in at this point. So these are being thrown out and I, again, will defer to the rest of my board members with it. But I, for one, would, dearly love to revisit those one more time, just to be 100% back on target with what, what all transacted with both of those surveys. So that's all I'm saying is if we're going to deal with a lot of facts here, then I'd like to have my ducks in a row with that one. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barry. I just would remind you that that is not something that that particular area is defining a very specific area that might not be it's specific. It may be part of this, but not the focus of it.
Yeah, and just respectfully to bring closure to at this point, when the public is hanging their hats on that for justifications to things, that's where I'm kind of a big fan of, like, okay, let me go back and just understand what that all meant. Let me refresh my memory with things. So thank you.
Noted. Board members, what is your pleasure? We've closed the public hearing.
Positive recommendation, right? So I'll make that motion.
Also,
I know it's our article, but that's what we're supposed to do, right?
so you're making a motion to adopt with a quantum vote of
Adopt.
2/3.
Yeah.
Okay, motion's been
Yeah.
made by Nat. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Nat, seconded by Joe. Roll call, Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. All right. Moving on, thank you. We have other business, upcoming meetings. Monday, February 13th, we have a regular monthly Zoom meeting. Regular meeting, planning board meeting on March 13th. And then we have a joint meeting with the Select Board and FinCom on March 20th. Then I believe, Meg, we are going to break for an executive session. Do we have to adjourn this, or do we just, and then we'd have to go to executive session and open again?
Yes, so it's a
Mhm.
little bit complicated and technical in the sense that we're switching over to a new Zoom meeting, so we can end this one. Technically, the public may be there when we open the executive session and make the announcement. We will not be convening back in open session, but then everyone's got to clear out. So as a practical matter, there's no point to do that. But if someone so chooses, the link is on the agenda, and I'll email it, recirculate it to you guys right now.
Thank
But
you.
it is a separate Zoom link, so you'll have to leave this meeting and start the new.
Okay, and we have that link. So with that, any other questions before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So
So
moved, sir.
moved.
Motion been
Second.
made by
Second.
Barry, seconded by Nat. Barry,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. All right, thank you all. We'll see you in a few minutes in executive session.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.